spent a lot of time on this podcast talking about mental health, but I want to talk about physical health for a second. There's nothing more uplifting and confidence boosting than looking in the mirror and seeing exactly what you want looking back at you. The person I trust to make sure that's happening, no matter if I'm going through an injury or not, is Brian Click. He's my friend, mentor, coach, and now one of our sponsors here at Off the Deep End. Head over to the link in the description and check out why I choose him. All over his Instagram and his website, you will be seeing the different clients who've worked with him in the past, whether it's bodybuilding or just maintaining a healthy lifestyle or working towards a certain goal in a sport and making sure you make weight. Brian is a guy I trust for every single different category and facet that fitness surrounds. There's nothing more important than liking what you see in the mirror and liking how you feel when you wake up every day. So head over to his website and get this process started. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Off the Deep End Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Eddie. Today, we're going to be meeting with the one and only IFBB pro from the Pacific Northwest, Jack Larson. Last time he came on the podcast, he talked about his future goals and aspirations and how he was headed to the Amateur Mr. Olympia to get his pro card. And boom, surprise, surprise, he did it. I did not have a single doubt in my mind, and obviously neither did he. He had the right coach with the right approach, and I'm super excited for the future venture he has. Posted below this is the date of the next posing seminar. So for those who are in the Pacific Northwest wondering, you can check it out there. So without further ado, let's get into the conversation.
Are you thinking about making a podcast? Spotify has a platform that lets you make one, and if I can figure it out, you definitely can too. You can create your own content all in one place for free with zero hangups and even earn money as soon as you get started. Spotify lets you record and edit episodes from your phone or computer so you can go mobile, just like I enjoy to do. My favorite thing about it is that you can create video episodes if you wish and upload them to wherever podcasts are heard. You can even set up subscriptions, or if you're like me, listener support options for listeners to help you grow. I 10 out of 10 recommend the Spotify for Podcasters app. Or, why don't you just step over to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started on your own podcast.
All right, we're back with Jack Larson, IFBB Pro, I think is a new title added to every time I got to say your name now, IFBB Pro, Jack Larson. So it has a nice ring to it, I would say.
Yeah, I like it. It's settled in nicely. It feels right.
Absolutely, dude. So you just got done with the amateur Olympia, and that's where you won your pro card in men's physique, correct?
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So what was it like leading up to that in peak week?
It was a blast. I mean, peak week comes with its stressors as usual. Thinking about the stage, thinking about, how am I gonna look? Are we gonna peak right? Are we doing every little manipulation correctly? But like people have known, especially people who listen to the past podcast, of Brian Click being my coach, and I've been working with him for a while now. We did 4 shows before that. Had a pretty successful, run doing that. So we had a good understanding of my body at that point. We got a good chemistry. We can communicate well. I learned a lot about my body as well as he has. So, we both kind of, we can communicate based off of things that I've learned and things that he knows and has learned about me, because no one's the same. So, a coach is going to have a general blueprint to follow to peak somebody, but like I just said, everyone's a little bit different. So,
yeah.
And then it also helps that I was the only one doing that show, obviously. So all focus is on me. He was there in Vegas. So overall, and the other funny thing too is, and I'm not throwing any shade at national shows or the Olympia stage or the Amateur Olympia or any of that. But my respect for the local shows in Washington has skyrocketed with how well they are freaking run.
Oh yeah.
Ivan Ribic and how he runs his shows at Ribic Productions. Lots of respect for them, because everything is just really smooth. Amateur Olympia was a little bit hectic, which is understood. It's a worldwide show. It's a worldwide national show. It's not just a normal national show. It's people from all over the world coming to compete there. So, they got to plan accordingly. And plus the big stage, the Mr. Olympia competition was that weekend, and we competed on Wednesday prior to that weekend. So everything's kind of a shit show trying to get everything, getting the ball rolling and all that. So, but no, it was a great time. Yeah, had a blast.
Badass, man. Very badass. So
Yeah.
I know that one thing that I recognize with your men's physique stage photos is your how lean and how dry you were. What body percent did you shoot for? Did you just try to go as lean as physically possible, or did you want to have some a little bit of a not as hard look? Because I
Yeah.
know that when you look at the pros coming in for the Olympia show, a lot of them can look almost freaky when it comes to how bone dry they
Yeah.
are.
Yeah. So the goal is to always get as shredded as you can, but there's always a limit too, because you can definitely over deplete. Um, you can get to a point where it's really hard to fill back up and fill out with glycogen if you are over depleted and your body just ends up burning through the shit like crazy. Especially with timing. Now, if you over deplete and you're still far out, you probably have some time to load for a few more days, but that's also risking it because that's more time that you could potentially mess up your peak. So, um, the goal is to get as shredded as possible, but come as big as we could
Mhm.
and as healthy looking and as healthy overall as we could be. So, and we fucking nailed it. So, I'm proud of that. I'm happy with that. Proud of Brian. I'm proud of myself. That was clearly the best look I've ever had. I'd say so. My last show last year, Night of Champions, Ribic Productions Night of Champions in Spokane, Washington. That was probably um, the second most conditioned look I've ever had. So at the time, it was Northwest Championships this year, that regional show in where the hell was that? Shoreline? Where was that?
Shelton, I believe.
Shelton,
Yeah,
yes.
a little quick.
Yeah, yeah. So wasn't super, I was shredded, but that wasn't like max shredded because we had to prepare for, the amateur Olympia.
Is that what do
So
you call that? Like a warm up show?
yeah, I guess you call it a warm up show.
Yeah.
Definitely still put some work into there. But yeah, yeah, Northwest Championships. That wasn't Auburn. Yeah, that's right. Okay, never mind. That was
Auburn.
Auburn. See, I don't know. Too many
They're
shows.
all over the place, man. Ruby doesn't
Yeah.
play around.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, so last year, anyway, back to Night of Champions last year, we got really, really lean. But we also could have filled out a lot more, but we were also playing it safe. I was a little bit on the flatter side, but we wanted that extra crispy lean look because regardless, I was outsized.
Mhm.
I was competing against guys who've been competing for a long time. I'm a younger guy. My muscle is still maturing. And so we wanted to make sure we at least had the edge of just being disgustingly peeled because my shape is there. If I don't come in too flat, my shape's still going to have a good advantage, especially at the regional level. However, at the national level, especially show like the amateur Olympia, that's only going to take you so far. You have to have everything. You got to have the size, you got to have the shape, you got to have the conditioning as well. So it's more important to make sure you're dialing everything in from all aspects. But that also came with just adding on more size, which I did that off season. So yeah.
Excellent, man. Excellent, man. So what if anything changed when you're approaching the amateur show where it came to your dieting? Obviously, I don't want you to go into details
Yeah.
that would kind of compromise you and Ryan's relationship. But what changed with your approach? Because I know that when you level up in your goals and aspirations, you have to alter your plans ever so slightly. So what
Yeah.
changed for you?
What changed for me is this kind of comes back to us having more data about my body and knowing what kind of other manipulations we could do in terms of scheduled refeeds, high days, stuff like that. So what we did was more frequent check-ins. So instead of kind of following like a general carb cycle, your high day, low day, medium day, whatever, it was more play it by the day or play it by every few days how I'm feeling, because again at this point too I kind of know how I should feel. I know what it feels like to be over depleted or flat for too long. Now it comes to a point when you're on prep, you have to be flat to
Mm.
get peeled. Like that's inevitable, and you got to kind of push through it. But if you're flat for too long, that's when you're risking, the look and not having that pop, and then losing some muscle tissue and over depleting. So it was just more frequent check-ins. It also helped that I was living with Brian for a month or a little over a month because we moved out of our apartment. Christine had to come back to Arizona for a while before I came out here, and I had to finish these shows out. And so I was living there. I mean, he always had his eyes on me. We were training together. I definitely had an advantage in that aspect. But regardless, we were doing more frequent check-ins, and we would have, even if I wasn't there, play it more kind of day to day. We didn't have set days during the week where I'd have a refeed or medium days or low days. It was day by day by day, pretty much.
Excellent.
So yeah,
Yeah, man. Well, I think that that method is something that definitely appeals to a lot of different bodybuilders. I know
definitely.
some coaches can do check-ins once every 2 weeks, and that can be very, very dangerous when it comes to not just your client coach relationship, but also making sure that your client comes out the way you want them to. The more effort I think you put in to your clients, and I think Brian does a good job of this. The more
Oh
effort
yeah.
you put into your clients, they kind of switch from being your clients to becoming more of your team, right? and
Mm-hmm.
and when the whole team comes in looking great, it shows, and not just in a team award or something like that, but you'll say, hey, this person's people are always coming in condition. They always come in looking full. When it comes to showtime, dry, peeled, and full. Those three things all at once can be confusing to people
Yeah.
who aren't bodybuilders, but to me, they make perfect sense.
Yeah. And the other thing is people need to realize too is like if you're brand new, you can't really go with that approach yet. You got to have some history and a little bit of you have to have that data collected from before. So people are like, well, why isn't this being done with me? Well, blah, 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 blah. It's like, well, look, we've done all these shows. We know how I respond to certain things. If we throw something at me, we know it's gonna happen at this point. So you got to play it safe for the first show or the first few shows, and then go from there. Um, you know, so yeah.
Having a foundation of how your body reacts to certain substances or certain foods, what different type of fats you're going to use versus other
Yeah,
fats. All
right.
these things come into and play a major role in how the body moves.
Definitely.
You don't take wet wood and put it on a fire and expect it to burn good. It just doesn't work like that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So what are some of the feelings and the emotions that came with stepping on the Olympia stage? Obviously, it's been a goal for a while to achieve this amount of success in your vision, right? We all have
Mhm.
things that we determine as success. Success for some people who are struggling in life might just be just getting out of bed. Success for me might look like um, at least 1,000 reps of some type of gun training by the end of the day. A great day making friends with my rekindling my relationship with my wife, being
Yeah.
a good husband, being a good worker at my job, and then
Mhm.
also making sure I train that day. So by the end of the day, I want to have all these checks in the box. What were some of the emotional moments and things that you felt emotionally when you were on the Olympus stage? Because it was a huge check in the box.
Yeah, definitely. It was different this time around because, you know, last year everything was just kind of a rush for me. I was brand new. Um, I didn't really have a lot of time to reflect and just kind of be there and soak it all in
Hmm.
until afterwards. So I'd say after the season is when it really hit me hard, but it was kind of a benefit because it was motivating as hell, and I was really excited to get back to it and go to the next level. So this year, um, nerves were not there very much. I mean, they came and they went like as with anybody, but it was mostly just out of excitement, and I was going to accept whatever the case was, whatever the outcome would be, regardless, because I know I put the work in. I know how much progress we had made. I knew how good I looked. I was confident in my ability and my physique and where I was at mentally, physically, everything. So I did a much better job this season of being grounded and being present and enjoying every little moment and the entire process. And you know, come time, once I was walking onto the stage, it was pretty much the same as any other show. I'm there to I'm there for a job. I'm there to, you know, proceed and fucking crush it and do what we plan to do. Um, Audience is gone. Stage, it's just the stage, the lights. I'm not worried about other competitors around me. Um, and just having freaking fun. And I had friends and family there. Had obviously Brian, my coach, his fiance Tara. So it was really about just being there and putting on a good show for my friends and family and supporters, and then enjoying whatever the outcome would have been afterwards, and then getting back to work. And it turned out being perfect, the best case scenario. So I'm thrilled. I'm happy as hell.
Excellent, man. I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it, dude. I had 100% guaranteed, um,
Hmm.
personally from obviously from the way you're looking from but also from the type of character that you show. That you kind of exonerate the idea of um, perfect execution leading to positive results, right? You make a decision. You cut off everything else.
Mhm.
Say, I'm going to do this. It's not an option. You speak it. The power of speaking your goals into existence and then chasing them as fast as you can. You're always gonna have success that way, in my opinion. Obviously, other
Yeah,
people
I
can
agree.
show up and stuff to the stage, and you never know who's gonna show up. But as long as you do your part, you're gonna look the way you need to look.
Yeah, I agree. And I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, man, absolutely. So what
Yeah.
does the future look like for you? I already know that your post show you go right straight into a refeed so that you don't waste a second of muscle building. You don't waste a second. Your body soaks up things like a sponge after a show. It's great.
Oh yeah.
What is your future looking like? I know that you're working towards competing at a pro level now.
Yeah, definitely. So I don't have a I don't have any show in mind right now. It all depends on timeline of progress, rate of progress, what makes most sense. Um, Not only for the potential of me doing great, but for you know the business aspect of it too.
Mhm.
So if I say sponsorships come playing a role, and they're willing to, they want me to do this set of shows or whatever, that's always an option. I don't know if that's going to happen yet or not, but that's obviously the goal and what I'm working towards. So um it's just going to be a show that makes most sense for me. um but I want to obviously go for something that's going to be competitive as hell, because why do this if I'm going to go for average? I want to do the best. I want to compete against the best. And so yeah, no show. So from the bodybuilding aspect, right now it's just taking the time to improve. And then probably, as the months go on, we'll start narrowing down the window and zoning in on something specific. But for now, it's focused on work, building the brand, building my clientele, um, networking, and yeah. So and I'm excited because I'm in Arizona now. It's a really good area. Everyone's the fitness industry here is crazy good, crazy big. Lots of bodybuilders, lots of pros around the area. I've already met quite a few of them. So in terms of marketing and networking, there's a huge um potential for more recognition and growth in that aspect too. So
Absolutely. And I know that Christina's YouTube channel is going to probably benefit from you collaborating with a lot of people down there as well.
oh, for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. And
Do
I
you
need to get
plan?
mine rolling too.
Yeah, I think you really should, man. Do you
Yeah.
plan on um doing any crazy workout breakdowns or anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. I want to do a lot of kind of just simple vlog kind of things too, because I think it fits my personality, just kind of taking people through the day to day and just kind of being myself and being chill and showing the audience that, you know, we're all human. Not that I'm some crazy high level pro yet, but at the end of the day, you know, bodybuilding is a pretty strict lifestyle and it's not easy for anybody. It's hard as shit. So I just want people to go through and be able to connect with it too, because you know, I mean, look at like C-Bum, for example. I mean, he's such a humble, laid back human being. He never lets the winds get control of him. He's hard on himself, but he's grown a lot as a person, and he's confident in himself now, but he's still the same old Chris Bumstead. So that's kind of how I aspire to be. Just take people through the day-to-day vlog. You know, I do your typical grocery haul, full day eating, stuff like that, but also just show not only the bodybuilding side of things, but just like, you know, take them through, you know, hey, we're gonna go for a hike today before we go train. Let's do this, and just random shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I also want to do like workout breakdowns and explain my methods to whatever, you know, body part I'm training, why I'm starting with this exercise before this exercise, why am I warming up my legs like this, why am I, you know, just to kind of break down the method, show that there's some method to the madness, and maybe help some people out. So
I think it definitely will. You've helped out a lot of people up here in Marysville Hit. Seeing that you got a big thank you from your clients was
yeah,
really awesome, man. That really dialed it home.
yeah, that was amazing. Yeah, he customized like a trophy kind of thing for me, the best trainer or whatever trainer of the year, life-changing skills, and he means that shit too, and it's super cool. It's right up there on my it's right up with my trophies right in the front, so it means just as much if not more than all that shit to me, because that's some real shit. You know, winning a show is such a small part of life. The bodybuilding stage is what, a couple hours of the months of prep that you go through, and that's not even counting the years of training. So what really matters is how you're affecting those around you, how you influence, how you can motivate people and change people's lives. And I think that's the most important part of anything. I think I feel much more accomplished in that sense than I do winning shows or even a pro card. You know, that's just such a small window of the entire, small painting of the entire picture.
I definitely agree. I think that one of my favorite quotes is that the best currency you'll ever find in life is the effect you have on another human being, and I really try to live by that as well. So you're coming back to Washington in the near future to do a little bit of posing training. So when is that going down, and how can people get in that?
That's going to be the last weekend of this month on the 28th, Saturday at 10 a.m. 425 Fitness in Redmond. Got to double check that date. I think it's the 28th. Yeah, Saturday the 28th, 10 a.m. Redmond, Washington, 425 Fitness. I'm going to be there going over all the male categories, men's physique, classic physique, and bodybuilding. You can get in touch with me. You can even get in touch with 425 here pretty soon, because they're going to post ads about it, which is really cool. So they're helping promote it because it's bringing them business too.
Yeah.
It's the fair. Basically it's a special. It's the first seminar of the year that I'm doing. There will be more. I will be flying to Washington more to do these. I'm going to do some out here in Arizona too. I'm in the works with something right now. Christina is helping me set that up. We're a freaking team too. I mean, we kill it. But yeah, she helps me with a lot of shit. Plus she lives here. She knows more people than I do. So she's, you know, she can help me connect with some people and introduce me to people and stuff like that. Helps that I'm a new pro, which is cool. So yeah, so more seminars in the future. This one's going to be, it's cheap, so people hop on, get your done. It's a good way for me to meet you guys too in person too, if you want to proceed with some, you know, virtual sessions, as I am in Arizona, but I will be flying to Washington every 3 or so months just to meet in person with the virtual clients I have over there and host these seminars. So yeah, it's a great way to get your practice in and hang out and have fun.
Excellent, excellent. So,
Yeah.
kind of what my last question of today was. I know a lot of people talk about, the fight. The fight happens on. Yeah, I'm gonna fight for my state spot or whatever. I can't. Yeah, I'm gonna. Or they get so wrapped up in the idea of competing against somebody else on the stage.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I personally think it's absolute bullshit, because everything leading up to the show is what makes that you walking on stage pop.
Yeah.
It takes out the hours, the reps, the food, the recovery, the small little details. The okay, we're gonna tweak this, we're gonna tweak that. The okay, do you have a great coach or do you have an okay coach? All these
Yeah.
things play a role in you coming out looking successful and your overall look on stage. How do you feel about
Yeah.
that?
The way I look at it is this, from my experience, you know, all the competitors are going through the same shit, especially if they're, doing a prep correctly or being coached right. But regardless, you're still sacrificing family time, sacrificing time with friends. What's the number one thing you do with friends for as a social event? You go get some food and you hang out. You can't really do that on prep unless you want to bring your tiny little Tupperware and sit there and suffer and watch everyone eat burgers and fries. So I've done that a few times. You can do it, but it's fucking hard and it's hard not to be a dick. So, it's really easy to get cranky and snappy. So, you got to pay attention to that. But yeah, you're all going through the same struggle and the same pain and the same sacrifice for weeks, months on end, however long your prep is. So we kind of all have most people have a sense of respect for each other. Backstage, it's, hey man, you look fucking great. How are you doing? Where are you from? I saw your Instagram post. I saw you tag the show Instagram account. I saw them repost your thing. You look great. I saw that video, whatever. You shake hands. There's always that sense of, yeah, but I'm gonna kick your ass on stage, but it's like a mutual friendly, it's friendly competition. And so it's pretty damn chill backstage most of the time. And it was really cool at the Amateur Olympia because, like I said, it's a worldwide competition. So there's people from all over the world coming. So you get a chance to communicate with people of different cultures, different backgrounds, different things they've went through in their lives. And it's really cool because you don't get that in your day-to-day, but you're all doing the same thing. You're all coming to compete and do the same thing from completely different backgrounds, but you're all going through the same prep, just like you would in, if you're all from the same area. It's a very interesting thing. So even if there's a language gap, or language barrier, even in that sense, you're still like, oh, you look great. Oh yeah, awesome, cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't think, none of, there's not, I mean, there's cocky people everywhere,
Oh
but
yeah.
people who are getting to that level, you kind of got to have, you have to have a good mentality and you have to have, um, I'm trying to I don't know how to word this. Let me think.
Like a respectful mindset for
Yeah,
everybody else.
exactly. You kind of have to have a respectful mindset. You can be competitive as hell, but you can be respectful. And people at that level are usually going to have all that.
Excellent, man. Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I really do look forward to the last week of this month and seeing you interact with all the people that are going to come up and show. Um, for you to show them how to pose correctly. I know that it's really really interesting to see how much of an art that bodybuilding is, and when it's presented correctly with proper preparation, everything kind of dials in just right.
Mm-hmm.
What's one of your favorite things about bodybuilding?
My favorite things about bodybuilding. Well, when it comes to posing, I'll start there. Especially teaching posing is, just like with a diet, just like with a prep. Um, no one's body's the same. So, there's a general blueprint for, your your mandatories, your front and back relaxed poses, quarter turns, or in men's physique, your front and back poses. But there's tons of little manipulations you can do or variations of different poses, angles, because as you know, bodybuilding is all about um um it's I am stumbling on my words. It's an illusion. It's an illusion, right? So that, like for men's physique, for example, even for open or classic, how can you make your waist look as small as you can make it while keeping your shoulders square to the judges? So you're looking broad up top, small waist at the bottom. How do you keep your core tight for 5-10 seconds while they're making you hold pose next to somebody? How do I make my back look as wide and detailed as possible while not overdoing it or over flexing, over tensing, keeping the hips away from the judges again to make your waist look small. Everyone has their strengths. Everyone has their stronger side, weaker side. So you want to utilize your strengths as much as you can without sacrificing the pose. So I think that's really fun. And, watching the client kind of make those connections and, okay, so if I put my foot here just a tiny bit over to the right more, I can move my hips to the left a little bit more. I can now engage my obliques a little bit better on this side. I can flare my lats better. Naturally, by doing this and shifting my shoulders a little bit, my shoulders cap out more. It's kind of like a puzzle piece. You start somewhere and things just sort of fall into place. So and that takes some time too. Like a first posing session, you're not going to nail everything. Usually you go over the basics and you go through the general blueprint of the poses. And then from there, once you can nail those, then you move on to tweaking little things to make it fit your look better. So, and that's something that I really try to focus on because a lot of bodybuilding posing coaches in the area, especially ones or anywhere in the Washington area or here, wherever, a lot of them are going to do, a lot of them bank on just only doing huge group classes because they're going to make a lot of money that way. But if you're only doing that all the time or you're only attending a bunch of group classes, you're only getting the general blueprint because everyone's going through the same motion. So, if you're doing a one-on-one or scheduling a one-on-one, it's all on you. All eyes are on you. So then you can manipulate the poses to make it best fit for you. So when I do like a seminar or group classes, things like that, I make sure to also go through everyone individually. I'll have them line up because it's fun. I'll start them lined up and we'll go through the general thing, or I'll start demonstrate first. But then I'll cycle them through and say, hey, for you, especially if they pick it up fast enough to where we can, cover more ground with them. That's not always the case, but if we have that time and we can do it, then I'll slow it down a bit and go through everyone individually. But it's also about timing because I don't want someone else to be standing over on the side for too long. So, but I think I do a great job about keeping things moving, keeping it smooth, while also giving everyone their fair time during a group seminar or group posing session. And then from there, we can go and schedule one-on-ones too.
Absolutely,
so
man.
Yeah. So from the posing coaching aspect, that's what I love about bodybuilding. From like bodybuilding in general as a whole, I just love the structure. I'm someone who, if I have too much shit going on in my head, I don't know where the hell to start. I have a crazy scatter brain. If I don't have some sort of blueprint laid out for me that I planned, I end up spinning my wheels, and all these things I wanted to do during my entire day end up not happening. So I have to have, okay, I'm gonna get up, start here, then I'm gonna go and do this, then we go and do this, then we go and do this. And I think that's typical for most people, but for me especially, because I just naturally I'm an overthinker. My brain is always going crazy. Um, thoughts are ricocheting around my head like crazy 24/7. So the structure of bodybuilding helps everything else in my life kind of lay out in an organized fashion.
Excellent, man. Yeah, I really do benefit from having structure as well, whether it's with any form of training, not just with fitness, but everything
Yeah.
around the board. I live by my calendar on my phone now because
Oh
I
yeah.
love structure. It definitely helps me with my scatterbrain stuff as well. And usually the
Yeah.
people with the busiest schedules, they have to have They have to have it, right? I'm planning stuff
Definitely.
6 months out at a time. So, well, I really do appreciate you coming on to talk about your future ventures and what's coming to the Pacific Northwest soon. I really
Yeah.
enjoy attending your posing seminars because of the way you articulate how to have a good foundation, and then once you have that foundation, you can build on it. But without
Right.
that foundation, you can't just say, okay, well, this is the front double bicep. This is how you do it,
Hmm.
and oh yeah, just flex as hard as you can. No, that's not how it works.
Right.
Everything works from the ground up, and you have to dial it in perfectly.
Yep. And for you young guys or younger guys like me, um, big pet peeve of mine as a posing coach, and this isn't shame on the client at all because it's normal. We're all human. But you got to slow things down and make sure you're nailing something before you try to move on to something else. If you got too much shit going on at once and you're trying to perfect everything at once, you're not going to get anywhere. You got to slow it down. Start with your front and back relaxes if you're doing classic and bodybuilding. Nail those and nail those quarter turns because that's the first thing the judges are judging you on. That's the quarter turns and front back relaxes are most important poses there are at all over your mandatories even because during pre-judging, during those judging rounds, that's what they're looking at right off the bat. They're looking at if you can hold that shape correctly, you know, and nail those poses and look smooth and comfortable. So a lot of people, especially now that social media is such a big thing, TikTok, fitness influencers are such a big thing, you know, posing in the mirrors to music and trying to like hit the coolest shot. You know, oh, I want to do that pose that he did on TikTok, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, we'll get there. But that's like that's far ahead. We got to nail those mandatories and those quarter turns first. Those are what really matter. So um yeah, that's my biggest pet peeve with that. So those of you listening who are interested in bodybuilding or potentially want to connect with me on posing, listen to me, trust in me. I will make sure your shit's dialed, but one thing at a time. One thing at a time. It's steps. These take steps, and you have to have some sort of structure. And just like with bodybuilding as a whole in general, there's got to be structure to it.
Amen, brother. So where can
Yeah.
people find you on social media?
Instagram at it's not Jack Larson 99 anymore. IFBB Pro _ Jack Dart Larson. Jack
Awesome.
dot Larson. And then Facebook, Jack Larson. Um, I am on TikTok. I already forget my TikTok name because I don't use TikTok enough, but I'm going to start posting more on that. I will come out with a YouTube channel for now. You can go follow Christina's and subscribe to it. Christina Pettit. Just search her up on YouTube. And yeah, that's where you can find me right now. So
Awesome. Well, I look forward to you coming back to the Pacific Northwest, and I appreciate you taking time to
yeah,
knock this out. Let's get this out to the world so they can hear it.
me too, man. Thank you so much for having me on again.
Absolutely.